All right, this is documentation against the people of the state. The people of the state are group stalking and relevant position monitoring on communication devices via communication devices, and they're doing so on behalf of the state of California. They are in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, and it is serving the criminal purpose for obstruction of justice. And so I want to document this because I took screenshots of my creation of a Google account. As you know, I upload my evidence. That is the ongoing investigation. A federal investigation is underway with regard to the state of California, which creates an ongoing emergency for so long as the targeted individual is subject to the pattern of conduct. And so a government is threatening the target individual's life. The targeted individual is in the midst of gathering documentation, and the entity is engaged in criminal monitoring to obstruct justice. That is grounds of federal prison. The people of the state in relevant position, in other words, everybody at Alvarado Gardens in relevant position. The demons that are on video flying over my apartment, that is relevant positioning, stalking in helicopters at 1:57 in the morning. And then as I create my evidence, creating another Google account. And this is also documentation of Google. Okay, you're going to also, with regard to the people of the state and the companies, and let me be clear, Google knows it's being used as a means. I just want to open your eyes to the reality of how big this is with regard to what I'm exposing and everyone that I am exposing as they engage in it. And I will let you know right now, in the same way that YouTube used to engage in what is the interference in the federal investigation, that is the targeted individual that is documenting a government that is placing them under surveillance. That is the existence of a federal investigation. If you in any way engage in interrupting that investigation, you will be put in federal prison. To do so is to threaten the life of the target individual. And I have a whole body of evidence against Google, which is YouTube, a third party group stalker on the venue of the internet, engaging in what is obstruction of justice. That is, they would block my videos, say that they needed to be censored for those 18 and over. And you know the substance of my videos, all I'm doing is taking video of the sky, talking about the so-called sun. So where there is no pattern of conduct, where there's no such thing as federal group stalking and monitoring, you can look at it from the outside. What is so dangerous about, what's so harmful? What is so threatening? Why are you so nervous about my little videos that don't mean anything? I'm just a paranoid schizophrenic, right? I'm just putting up nonsense, looking and admiring the sky, right? So says the state that's monitoring the targeted individual. I want to be clear. YouTube was engaging in what is targeting on the venue of the internet and targeting my documentation. YouTube represents the people of the state, a commercial means on the venue of the internet, obstructing justice. And this was routinely documented. This is another means of federal prosecution that's going to be handled. Google is a third party on the venue of the internet. And the only reason why I'm mentioning them right now is not only have I documented Google engaging in obstruction of justice before, which is the pattern of conduct. Understand the people of the state's role, the entity that engages in the system, it is within the very pattern of conduct to keep the system concealed. That's why you engage in things such as kidnapping and criminal defamation for purposes of, in no way ever is the target individual ever supposed to have a voice. They're supposed to be dismissed from society, disbelieved, all right, and having no evidence whatsoever. So, while I was documenting the entity, publishing it on my channel that I maintained on YouTube, YouTube routinely engaged in very serious federal offenses, and I documented it. The entity has no idea how serious that's going to be when they're facing prosecution, civilly and criminally, but it is nonetheless an unlawful intrusion on an ongoing federal investigation, which, understand, where the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct, the targeted individual is engaged in an investigation which has to do with their very life and their safety. Anything obstructing that, and let me repeat, anything and any person obstructing that will be subject to federal prison, period. Period. Those are things such as criminal summoning, okay, like Stephanie Ortiz engaged in. Anyway, so I will digress. The reason why I'm mentioning Google right now is because I created another account because I am going to upload evidence of what is the demons. Those are demon-possessed state actors. The Los Angeles Police Department are outwardly demonstrating to the world what demonic activity looks like and how a government is practicing demonic conduct, which is actually serving a criminal system that they have been secretly engaged in. And with regard to me capturing video at 1:57, 1:58 a.m., I captured this video and I upload my documentation onto Google. Google is a third party. And just want to be clear, Google is a third party. Google is on the venue of the internet. There are federal laws that exist and that shall exist with regard to the protection of the ordinary target individual that will create documentation in any means, whatever they have at their disposal in order to document a government that's threatening their life. Okay. And no third party will get in the way of that, period. You're going to actually create responsibilities for venues such as Google on the venue of the internet, where they're aware of some sort of the pattern of conduct that they are documenting on such venues. They're going to have a responsibility, and that's just based on their role that they have. These companies, these third parties that is, they make so much money, they have so much influence, and it just goes without saying. And they should not even be adverse to it, contrary to what Google was doing before on YouTube. They actually have a responsibility, and it should be something that they are, based on what they claim that they are and what they represent, something that they should be advocating for. And as opposed to obstructing justice, they should be making sure that justice is achieved, supporting the targeted individual, an American citizen who has a right to not be subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, and not acting to conceal it. And so, in other words, I'm documenting obstruction of justice because I took screenshots, and what you'll see is when you create the account, a new website, you've got Google Drive, you get a free 15 gigabytes of storage. I upload my videos, I upload everything to it, and you can create an email account and save it. A means of monitoring is exactly what I took a screenshot of. And so what you'll see is the entity blocking my ability to create a new account in order to upload my video. My ability to upload evidence is my ability to enforce my rights, while my life is currently under threat by a government that is obsessively stalking and monitoring me. And then that psychopath, this is what I mean. This is not calling names. They are what they are doing. That obsessed stalker is a psychopath who then wants to try to obstruct my ability to gather and publish the evidence while they still want to obsessively stalk and monitor me. They want to be a sex offender and pursue me relentlessly and then try to stop my ability to enforce my rights. Do you understand the psychopath that is based on that behavior? And that is the pattern. Okay. Not only years of documentation of the pattern of conduct, years of documentation of obstruction of justice. In every regard, the people of the state are subject to not just what is already a severe prosecution punishment for what is a very serious criminal act committed by government via the people, but the people of the state of California are subject to what is going to be historic and on a whole other level of with regard to an epic punishment because of the extent that the entity has gone to try to stop exposure, to try to stop the fact that there would be any sort of, light of day on what they've been doing to myself, which is engaging in a system which I have created a whole nomenclature for you to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, their criminal intent behind what they do. I mean, I've broken it all the way down for you. And I also want you to understand the intent to engage in obstruction of justice, which is a whole other federal charge, and that will intensify punishment, period. So you'll see what is not, it's not required that you enter in a phone number in order to create a free Google account and have an email and get access to Google Drive. Okay. And even if it is first of all, it's not, but I want to be clear, just anticipating some rebuttal by somebody that wants to, which they can't, but once you try, oh yes, it is. It's not monitoring. That's not, because it's not. I've been doing it for years. When they're monitoring, it's, if you adequately clear all your cookies and clear out everything, then you're able to avoid it. But when they're monitoring, they're able to obstruct your ability. So it was requiring me to put in my phone number. I put in my phone number, and then it blocks you by saying, oh, this phone number has been used too much. They're monitoring. That's monitoring. Okay, so this is what I did on my phone. They did that on my phone. So I use my tablet, and like is the case, it's not required to create a free Google account. This is documentation that's going against the state that is stalking and monitoring me. LAPD, they are demons who are going to be removed. They are also demons who want to obsessively stalk, sexually violate, and offend me, and then try to stop me from telling anyone about it. Okay, that's the same for the people of the state. This is documentation to that end, so I want to make sure that I expound upon that. It's 2:30 a.m. on March 24th, 2022. I did go on my tablet and create another free account where I'm going to upload this evidence of what is LAPD acting in conformity to a well and long documented pattern of conduct, a demon-possessed law enforcement agency engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and they routinely do so through corrupt law enforcement agencies who are always stalking me by helicopter 24 hours a day. And they were flying over my apartment, amplifying helicopter activity, which are the criminal elements of monitoring. All right. And engineered light remains in my apartment right now. Engineered light is covering the grounds. The people of the state remain in relevant position. They're group stalking, living at the property. The people of the state are remaining in relevant position outside beyond Alvarado Gardens apartments in Los Angeles. But the entity is also engaging in what is amplified audible activity, and they're crossing path in a helicopter. All right. So the criminal elements of monitoring are underway, and the entity knows that it's being documented. And on top of that, the entity seeks to obstruct justice by trying to block me from being able to even publish the evidence against it. That is a dangerous psychopath. Okay. And this is the entity. This is the character of the entity. It is again 2:31 a.m. and this is P.O.C.